For the last 18 years, I've been coaching painting contractors to build their companies, and I have worked with thousands of painting contractors and hundreds of painting contractors one-on-one, and there is, from my observation, there's the most important order to do things in when building your team. And the most important first hire that you make is a project manager. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what order to make your hires in for building your company. To build your company to $1 million plus a year, you need a team. And to build a team, it's gonna be more than one person, and there is a best order to do things in. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what order to make your hires in. That's true for like 95% of people. This is the best way to do it. And then the way that we're gonna go through this is I'm gonna first walk through the guiding principles for hiring. All right, there's some really important principles you wanna follow when hiring. Then we're gonna talk about your first hire, which is a project manager, but why that's the most important first hire, and then your second hire and why, your third hire and why, and then I'm gonna break down like what the result is. Once you've got those 3 hires in place in order, what's the end result? What does your business actually look like? So before we jump into it, in case we don't know each other, my name's Eric Barstow. I'm the founder and CEO of Painting Business Pro. I've been coaching painting contractors for over a decade, worked with thousands of painting contractors over those years. I also run a portfolio of painting companies, so we'll do around $25 million this year in business, up from about 17 million last year and growing. All right, let's jump in. All right, first let's talk about some of the guiding principles for hiring. So I'm gonna keep this really simple. The goal of hiring is to grow your revenue. All right, so that's the first thing is when we make a hire, this hire needs to enable us to grow revenue. We want to grow profit. So that's the goal, is we're hiring why? To grow your business. Revenue and not profit? No, of course, you want both. We want to grow revenue and we want to grow profit. Now, as you hire people, your profit as a percentage will go down, right? So instead of making 30% net profit, now you might be making 23% net profit, but because revenue has gone up, your total profit, how much money goes in your pocket, has gone up. So we want to grow revenue and grow profit, and over time, we want to work less. So we're working fewer hours because we're hiring a team, but we're working on more valuable stuff. All right, so over time, as we make hires, the hires we make enable us to grow the revenue, increase the profit, while we personally work less on more valuable things. That's fundamentally what we're trying to do with every hire in our business. We're also gonna assume that you're not doing any of the painting. All right, so for the purposes of this video, we're talking about what's your most important hire, not including painting. All right, because if you're really, if you're building a company, that would be the first thing. We've got other videos about that. But if you're currently the one doing the painting, then that's actually your first hire, is you've got to stop doing painting altogether, because as long as you're painting, you are paying yourself whatever you could pay someone else to do it. So if you could hire someone for $25 an hour, then you're paying yourself $25 an hour every hour you paint. And if you paint 40 hours a week, you're paying yourself $1,000 a week, which is $50,000 a year, but you have then you've only got a little bit of other time to actually work on your business. So you've got to get rid of the painting first so you can work on more valuable stuff, which is getting the jobs, managing the projects, and then it's gonna be building your team. So now that we have the guiding principles in place, we want to look at the first hire that you're going to make and why. So I've already mentioned to you that the first hire you're going to make is a project manager. So let me tell you why for 95% of people, this is the most important first hire to make. So when you're the one who's managing the marketing, you're doing the calls, you're answering the phone, you're doing sales, and you're managing the projects, you're doing everything. We just want to look at, okay, what are you spending all your time on? Because if we hire an office manager, well, yeah, but you're only doing like 7 hours a week of those tasks. That only frees up 7 hours a week. And so now that those 7 hours a week are free, you only have 7 hours a week more available to you to grow the business. But that person's salary costs something. And 7 hours a week isn't usually enough to make up the salary they cost. And so it's not going to achieve the guiding principle of I grow the business and I make more profit. Oftentimes that will lead to less, because it's just not a big enough chunk of your week. Where you're spending most of your time at this stage of the business, as you're, let's say, doing 20 hours a week on project management, 20 hours a week on sales, that's where most of your time is being spent. So by making a hire for sales or a hire for project management frees up a lot of time, which gives you even more time to grow the business, which pays for that person and adds more profit, which is really the goal for us at this stage. But when you're first hiring people, this is a place that a lot of people fail. I mean, I'm not immune to that. I failed a lot of times, a lot of times. And you might fail. So there's, what's the chance that the very first person you hire and train is going to be a success? I mean, there's some percentage chance that you're going to fail. So we need to take that into account. So when you hire a salesperson first, let's look at that one first. If you hire a salesperson first and you're doing $15,000 a week, well, you hire that person, what's the chance that they're going to sell as well as you? In my experience, and from what I've seen, usually the owner is the better salesperson. All right, just because you've been in the business a long time, you're the owner, people trust you more. The way you speak at estimates is different because you own the business. Usually, they don't perform as well, which means if you have 10 estimates a week that you're doing and you sell 15,000, when you give those 10 estimates to your salesperson, they probably won't sell 15,000, which means revenue goes down and your percentage of profit goes down. And the 20 hours of project management, you don't need 20 hours because they're not selling enough. And so now you've got someone else doing this, not as effectively as you. You're still doing this, but you're doing it less hours because there's less sales. So that's the first thing, all right? Now let's take a look on the other side. And by the way, the worst case scenario is sometimes a salesperson could come in and they could just go and be terrible. I mean, when I first started selling, I went 0 for 36 over 6 weeks. If you're selling 15K and then a salesperson comes in, there is the possibility that they don't sell any jobs for a week or 2 weeks and they have a huge slump that really hurts your business. So much to the point where you could actually be losing money weekly, right? So there's a big risk here. Now let's take the case that we hire a project manager first. So if you take these hours off your plate, you're still doing sales, right? So if you're still doing sales and selling 15K a week, what do you think you're going to keep doing? Keep doing sales, keep selling 15K a week. And if they screw up their job over here, what can you do? Well, you can just save the day. You can just push them out of the way, call the client, be like, hey, I'm on it. Hey, subcontractor, you can go fix it, right? And you can't fear problems in your business because problems are going to happen. And truthfully, like clients are totally cool if there's problems, if you respond and handle them well, right? You can really screw things up one time. As long as you respond and handle it like a real professional, people will forgive a problem. The real issue is when there's a problem and you don't respond well, and then there's another problem and they start to totally lose trust. So if you hire a project manager and they screw up, you can jump in and save the day and use it as a training opportunity, right? So there's not really a big downside here. And when you bring on your project manager first, these hours are freed up. And so instead of doing 20 hours on sales, you're going to spend a little bit more money and time on marketing, and you're going to spend a little bit more time on sales. So maybe this goes to 30 and your 15K in sales goes to like 20K in sales. So now we achieved the goal of we grew revenue and we're going to be a little less profitable on percentages because of our project manager. So we make the hire, we increase the number of estimates we do, which increases sales. You go from 15,000 a week to 20,000 a week. And if you're making proper profit margins, then you should be making about $2,000 in gross profit on that additional 5K in revenue. 2,000 a week in profit pays the salary of your project manager plus a little more, which achieves the goal of growing revenue, growing profit. You're working a little bit less on something that's more valuable, which brings us to, okay, so now what's the next hire for us to make? All right, so the next hire that you're gonna make is gonna be your sales rep, all right? So now that you've got a project manager, someone who's been trained, and it might take you 3 to 6 months to train that person really well, where you're selling 20K a week, they're producing it, and you're training them how to do it really, really well. And then it's like, okay, it's time to make the next hire because your time is gonna be filled up with 30 hours a week now doing sales, answering the phone, setting up appointments, and running appointments. You're spending about 5 hours a week managing your project manager, supporting them, and then 5 hours a week on marketing and admin. All right, so that's kind of your 40 hours a week. So you can't really grow the business anymore unless you make a hire. And the goal of making a hire is to grow our revenue, grow our profit, work less on more valuable stuff. And so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hire a sales rep. That sales rep is gonna take this 30 hours off your plate, which is huge. All right, so what your sales rep is gonna do is they're gonna take over the phone line. So when someone calls in, sales rep answers the phone because calls that come in are either solicitations, which you don't need to take those, sales rep can say no, or they're leads. sales rep wants to answer those because sales rep can set those up and sales rep sells those and earns a commission. Or it's a client, sales rep can redirect those calls to your production manager. So your sales rep can take over your phone line for you. They can also take over like working the leads to set appointments, and then they can take over doing estimates. Now this frees up 30 hours a week for you. And so now maybe your time managing goes to like 10 hours because you're going to support your sales rep now. So you've got 10 hours managing and 5 hours doing marketing and admin, which means you got 15 hours. You got time now. All right, so what we're going to do once we hire this person, train this person, we make the hire and train them, and then you spend more money on marketing and increase marketing to increase estimates. Because you were doing 30 hours a week, but you just hired someone full time. They should be able to do 40 hours a week. So they can handle more estimates than you could handle because they don't manage people and they don't do marketing and admin. So you have more estimate capacity. But also, you're now only working 15 hours a week. So you can go and pick up some extra estimates yourself to make sure that even if the sales rep performs worse than you, they're doing more estimates. So they should still sell what you were selling, and then you can pick up 4 or 5 estimates a week and sell more. So now our sales increases. All right, so we maybe go from 20,000 a week at this stage to 30,000 a week. That extra 10,000, maybe we're at 35% gross profit now because you pay your subcontractor or your crews and materials, you pay your project manager, you pay your sales rep. We're at 35% gross profit. That's an extra $3,500 a week in profit added to your business. That pays for the sales rep, who might only be like $1,500, $2,000 a week, and adds profit. So once again, the revenue has grown, your profit amount per week has grown, and you're now doing 15 hours a week and maybe 10 hours a week of sales. So you went from 40 hours a week to 25. That's a sweet trade. All right, which brings us to like, okay, now what's the next hire that we can make into the business? So your third hire is going to be your admin or your office manager. So this is the last part of your business that you haven't hired someone to help you with. So you have someone who can handle all the estimates and sales appointments, and then you have someone who can handle all the project management after those jobs are sold. And so then there's kind of these lingering things that an office manager or admin can come in and help you with. This could definitely be a part-time role. Some of the things that they're going to help you with is like just administrative tasks. They might be able to do some of the marketing nuances like requesting credits and dealing with lead services and posting stuff on social and interacting with other vendors. They can handle phone calls and even set appointments, which allows your sales rep to no longer take those calls, which means your sales rep can now do 2 or 3 more estimates per week, which is great because when your sales rep can do 3 more estimates a week, it adds $5,000 a month or $5,000 a week in sales, which pays for this person. All right, so at this stage, once you have these 3 hires in place, what you're doing is you're doing one-on-one meetings with your team, you're doing a team meeting, and you're training your people. But you can't spend that many hours a week training people. Like a few hours a week is about all you need to do to keep just getting them a little better every week. So all of this combined shouldn't be more than about 15 hours a week. And then you've got marketing, maybe 5 hours a week that you're dedicated to marketing, which is one of your key roles, is making sure we've got enough estimates. And then you've got hiring. All right, so you're going to continue to staff your company from here with another sales rep and another project manager. And maybe you're doing some estimates yourself until you make your next sales hire. All right, so this is really the key here to getting your business to, roughly $30,000 a week. So now let's take a look at once this team is built, these 3 people, it's only 3. You can do this process over, 12 to 18 months. Some people have done a lot faster than that. You could do it faster than that. But once you're ready to make your first hire, it might be 3 to 6 months to hire and train, then 3 to 6 months to hire and train, and then 3 to 6 months to hire and train. So you're at somewhere from 9 to 18 months to put this team in place. And every time you bring that team on, the number of estimates increases. So we do a little more marketing, a little more marketing, a little more marketing. And now let's take a look at what the end result is when you've built a team in this way over that time period. All right, so this is the end result of this team that you built. So you've basically got a project manager who's getting paid, let's just say 6%, a sales rep getting paid 6%, an office manager getting paid $50,000, and this is what the numbers look like. You've got a business doing about $1.2 million a year. That's just saying $30,000 a week, 40 weeks out of the year. All right, so pretty conservative numbers there. In our companies, for example, we have our project managers produce 1.5 to 2 million. Our sales reps sell 1.5 to 2 million. So 1.2 is pretty conservative for this whole team. You also don't need an office manager for more than this. So we could, with this same team, do 1.8 million and all the numbers get a lot better. But let's just take it the case here, 6%, 50K, 1.2 million. $600,000 goes to materials and labor. And insurance there. You've got $72,000 for project manager, $72,000 for sales, $50,000 for office manager, and $120,000 spent on marketing. That's 10% spent on marketing. That brings us to $286,000 in profit. And then I'm just using a round number of $36,000, which is $3,000 a month on your overhead, which at this stage, you really don't need an office. You could be pretty thrifty with overhead. You don't really need company vehicles. You don't really, a CRM can be pretty cheap. You need insurance, but you could keep your overhead really, really minimal where it doesn't really even need to be $3,000 a month, but let's say it is. That would leave you with $250,000 in net profit, which is 20%. That's your take-home income, and this is what your schedule would look like. Basically, on Monday, you have meetings. You've got a one-on-one meeting with each team member, and then you've got a team meeting. That's 4 hours. You've got any of your admin that you've got to do, maybe a couple hours, that's 6. And then you do your marketing for the week, which is another 2. So you got an 8-hour Monday to set up and stage the week. And then Tuesday through Friday, you basically just have training your people. It could be staffing and hiring the next person, or it could be marketing. And this, you could do, some weeks you don't have to do it all. Some weeks you could do 4 hours a day. But at this stage, you really should have built, basically the requirements of you is a part-time job. The requirement of you is like 15 hours a week. And then there's some weeks you can do more to keep training and improving your team so that really you don't need to hire more people. With all the same marketing budget and the same team, you could just drive this number up to 1.8 million. And then this is 900,000. And then your team is making more money where they're making closer to like 100K. And all these numbers, your office is still at 50, your marketing is still at 120. And we can start to drive this number up to closer to like $400,000 by just improving the performance of your team. So this training becomes the thing that you're spending less of your time doing that's way more valuable to do. Meeting with your team, doing the marketing to make sure there's enough throughput in the business, and training is the most valuable thing you can be doing for your business at this stage. And we have achieved the goal of hiring, which is we've grown revenue, we've grown profit, and you're working less total hours on things that are more valuable for your business. And now you have a whole new job in your business. Your new job in your business is to have your team succeed. If your sales rep succeeds and hits their goals and makes more money, you make more money. If your project manager succeeds and hits their goals, they make more money, you make more money. If your office manager, you can tie them in with incentives where they really kick ass and you can give them bonuses where they hit their goals and you hit yours. Your job becomes serving your team and serving your customers and building a better business. And as you do that, you will earn more money. Like the business can grow substantially and you can make a lot more money in your business by making the business better. But it doesn't take you 30 hours a week to make the business better. It takes just consistent improvements to make it better. And this starts to be what you're really building. And if you really are ambitious, then what the next steps would be is get this team performing really well and then add another sales rep and add another project manager and double your marketing budget and your business doubles. So you go from 1.8 to now you're like, hey, now we're at 3.6. And now we're making $700K a year and your schedule hasn't changed a whole lot. You just got a couple more people you're managing. And that's really the pathway from, hey, I'm doing everything in my business now, all the way up to $1.5 million a year to $2.5, $3.5 million a year, making a really incredible income. And for me, that's the goal of the business. You create a foundation for what's next, and you've got a great foundation for what's next because you've got time, you've got money, and you've got an income generating machine. So hope you got a lot out of this video. Drop any comments below and we'll see you in the next one.